Welcome to the Scottish Rite Journal podcast, an audio presentation of the Scottish Rite Journal, brought to you by the Supreme Council of the Scottish Rite, Southern Jurisdiction, Mother Supreme Council of the World. This week's article is A Tale of Two Brothers, The Indissoluble Bonds of DeMolay and Freemasonry by Brother Robert G. Mertz, Jr., 32nd degree, and comes from the January-February 2020 issue of the Scottish Rite Journal. From the beginning, the Order of DeMolay was inspired by the ideals of Freemasonry. The story goes that in January of 1919, Frank Land, a Scottish Rite Mason working at the temple in Kansas City, was contacted by the senior warden of Ivanhoe Lodge, inquiring whether Frank could find a part-time job for Louis Lauer, a son of a brother who had just passed away. Frank met with the young man and almost immediately forged a friendship that would last for many years to come. Louis radiated honesty of character and a natural aptitude for leadership, thus landing him the position. The idea gradually dawned on Frank that young men could benefit from the lessons of Freemasonry, not as junior Masons, but as a catapult to becoming fine, outstanding citizens and men. He invited Louis to meet him at the temple with a view towards forming a special club. That next Wednesday, Louis brought 8 of his friends whom he introduced to Land, and these 9 young men became the fledgling kernel that would become the greatest fraternal organization for young men the world has ever known. DeMolay draws its name from the last Grand Master of the ancient order of the Knights Templar, Jacques DeMolay. The story of the demise of the order is a lesson in loyalty, courage, and faith in the grace and power of Almighty God. In the century since the Order of DeMolay began, it has not only taught high ideals, but has formed lifelong friendships too numerous to list individually. I would like to share a specific tale of 2 men whose chance meeting in DeMolay created a friendship and a brotherhood which has lasted for nearly 40 years. The first young man entered DeMolay in December 1978 in Stuttgart, Germany, joining von Steuben chapter. He did not have the opportunity to move through the chairs as the chapter was very large with its nearly 100 members. He remained the chapter's perpetual chaplain, learning all the prayers. He was encouraged by his chapter dad to complete the representative DeMolay application and soon thereafter study for and prepare to participate in the jurisdictional RD tournament. To his surprise, he was declared the outstanding representative DeMolay of the jurisdiction for 1979. He continued performing the ceremonies in his chapter. Like all military families, he moves to another base somewhere else in the world, not knowing how or where to locate DeMolay in this new environment. The second young man in our story joined Tidewater chapter a few years later at the encouragement of a neighbor who was a master mason. He fit right in and seized the opportunity to lead. He later became master counselor and a few years later state master counselor. DeMolay had made him an exemplary leader and an outstanding citizen. One day at a gas station in Hampton, Virginia, the first DeMolay we mentioned saw a Masonic emblem on the back of a car. Knowing the Masonic DeMolay connection, he approached the man and inquired him if there were any DeMolay chapters around the area. It so happened that this Mason was the chapter dad of Hampton Roads chapter, which met nearby, but was a long drive from Fort Eustis, where he lived. The Mason who had invited told him of another chapter in Williamsburg, which was much closer to Fort Eustis and was in need of members as well. Thereupon the young man called and later joined that chapter. In that chapter was where the first DeMolay in our story met the second. They were in the same grade at Denbigh High School in Newport News, Virginia. After graduating high school in 1984, the first joined the U.S. Army and the second went to college. Visits and letters kept them informed of each other's life events. Forward to December of 1992, when the second had moved to Williamsburg and the first had left active Army service and was looking for a place to live. The second recommended a place in the same building. It was great times for the 2 brothers to end up sharing an apartment. The first joined Freemasonry in Yorktown Lodge, of which the second was the worshipful master, raising his DeMolay companion to the sublime degree of Master Mason on Scottish Rite Blue Lodge Night in October of 1993, establishing a new brotherhood within the portals of Freemasonry. The second found the love of his life in Northern Virginia and soon moved away. The first then decided to enroll in college in Miami, Florida. The distance was of no concern, for they remained in contact. In September of 1998, the two were once again joined as members of John Blair Lodge in Alexandria, Virginia, the first serving as master there in 2002. The second for a short period of time was the district deputy grand master for that Masonic district. They would return to their DeMolay origins in working in local DeMolay chapters as advisors. These two brothers are myself, Brother 1, the author of this article, and Matthew Zamoski, Brother 2, former Director of Development for the Southern Jurisdiction of the Scottish Rite. The moral to be found here in this tale is that those first lessons when a young man becomes a DeMolay and when a man becomes a Mason cannot be broken. They are the standards of which all men and people of our small but diverse world should follow and adhere to. Loyalty, tolerance, and compassion, just to name a few. All men, wheresoever dispersed, should know of such attributes of a brotherhood throughout one's life. Like and share this article, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you wish to comment, please leave one, and as a reminder, hit the notifications bell. Any accompanying photographs or citations for this article can be found in the corresponding print edition. The Scottish Rite Journal is published by the Supreme Council of the Scottish Rite, Southern Jurisdiction, Mother Supreme Council of the World. Mark Dreisenstock, 33rd degree, Managing Editor. I'm your host, Matt Bowers.